Hello, everyone. So this is day 2 of me just, so I don't really know what's going on with like my Patreons. I guess they both needed verification or something. So one is back, the one that's connected here, but the other one is not. I guess I have to do something else today or something like that. So I'm just checking in with everybody for my second day. I decided this year that I was going to make some drastic changes, which have needed to be done. I think one of the things that really helped was I got into therapy. So if any of you are ever resistant, at all to therapy, I would say the best thing about it is you have like a sounding board that kind of helps you bounce ideas, right? Really off of yourself, because the person is totally unbiased, because they don't know you. And so with that, I realized that, I came to this like epiphany the other day, and I realized that, I'm the only one that's been holding myself back, and I don't want to be in a situation anymore where I am waiting for my life to start, right? Because of all of the hurt and all the stuff I'm trying to get over, right? So I just decided, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make an effort right now to make those changes. So what I'm doing is today I'm going and looking for a new place, because this place is, it's just not working well for me anymore. It did when I first moved down here, but I don't have a lease. I had to change the locks on my door so that I could, safely leave and lock my door. It's a really awesome neighborhood, but it's not going to be good. The other problem that I have is the lighting, right? Because that's really important for me with streaming and stuff a lot. I'll be just, in the same neighborhood, kind of. So I'm going and looking, and I think I'm going to show you, so what, I haven't really had you guys like along my journey, because it's been, for me, I guess it's been kind of embarrassing, right? Because I started this channel doing my yoga swing and all of this stuff. And to be honest, it was right after that surgery I had that, I just kind of had a hard time recovering, just because I didn't have any support. And what I realized is we go through life thinking that we might have support from people, and we really don't, right? I mean, sometimes support is, yeah, they pick us up, but then they the whole time, or they make things difficult for us to, heal or whatever. And, it's kind of been like one thing after another. But again, being in therapy, I'm like, well, the other day I came to this, aha moment where I was like, yeah, but I'm the one that has a choice, right? I have a choice. So it was immediately that day I decided, because what I've been doing is dragging my feet with figuring out what I'm doing with my storage unit, because it got broken. Just all this stuff has happened. And I'm like, I don't care anymore. I don't care how many pairs of Nike shoes are in the storage unit. I don't care how many suit jackets or, Louis Vuitton, whatever. I don't care anymore. I just want to go and get a box of pictures, some of my, jewelry. I have like one dresser. And then I'm just, I don't really care anymore. I want what's been happening is I've been holding on, this whole time I've been paying for a storage unit, doing all of this stuff when I could have been spending that money, all the money I paid for storage in the last year, I could have paid, I could have put like a down payment on a house, right? But I've been like wallowing and, not knowing what I'm going to do with my channel and feeling bad because I'm camming. And I realized, why do I feel bad about that? Like I'm a resilient person. I went from IT to this job and it was still able to make barely holding on. I still was making $50,000-$60,000 a year. I mean, of course I have the potential to make so much more, but it was enough to just kind of keep me stringing along and surviving. And I mean, and not putting very much effort in. And so it's like, if I put a lot of effort in, I think I'm going to see a lot of different results. And I know that a lot of more things are going to open up, right? Because I have clarity and I am intentional. I've just been kind of like, walking around in a self-induced daze because I didn't, I've been talking about healing. But more than anything, what I needed was really to get into counseling, to get into therapy. I think the fact that I was kind of quasi in a relationship with somebody who is completely unavailable. I mean, this guy, and this morning I get this text message from the guy I dated before him, not even dated. And he's like, "What are you doing today?" It's like these guys are so lost in their own self, like I was, that it's not, it's like when, somebody has, been struggling or something, I would think that like what I would do, and I'm not saying everyone's me, but human to human, I'd just be like, "Hey, I'd love to see you today. I'm off, is there any way I could, see you or swing by?" But it's never that. It's always that I have to do all this, they put in the bare minimum and then they expect something in return. And I don't even, it's like he looks me up on, because the other one's blocked. And so he's like looking me up on IG and Facebook and stuff. And I'm like, he's like, "Call me back." Why would I ever do that? So, but again, it's always, and it's not that those things individually affected my healing process, but I think, compound interest is, it's compound, right? And sometimes you don't realize, how broken things are until, you see yourself putting up with this kind of behavior. And that's the bottom line, right? Is we allow the things in our, and it's not even necessarily allowing the person access to me or anything like that. But, just even getting to a point where I unblock them just to send them a text message and say, "Don't talk to me anymore. Don't text me anymore," whatever. I mean, this is a person I had a case with for a year. And he doesn't understand that I don't want to talk to him again. And that's completely narcissistic, right? But what I realized in therapy is it's not just him that's narcissistic. So I'm an empath, right? And so with that, I am quote unquote prey to lots of people in the world that, they see empaths as low hanging fruit, right? And they know that once they get into they sneak under the fence, they can do it again. And I've been letting that happen with my daughter, this guy, the guy before, and then, my mom, my parents, my mom. That was the last straw, is finding out that she took my dogs that I asked her to watch. I had 3, and she gave them away after only having them for a couple months, and knowing how, that I was doing everything I could to get me and my little guys back together. And that's just a hurtful, mean-hearted thing to do. And so, but again, I don't need to wallow on that stuff, right? So what I'm doing, the reason I'm on here all this week is because something's going on with my Patreons, both of them. My Healing for You, I think I got repaired. They wanted me, but I don't know. My other one, my plantation land, I don't know what's going on. And to be honest, and I said this yesterday, I kind of feel like I'm surprised that they didn't take, that somebody didn't report it before, just because it should be jarring to people, right? I mean, in my opinion. And so I've kind of been moving a little bit away from that, just because, number one, it pigeonholes me. But at the same time, when I look at my numbers and everything, that's really been, that is the core of the people that support me financially in my streams and stuff, hands down. And I think that there's some guilt associated with that, right? And again, and my therapist says, why do everyone has a niche. She's like, I know it's weird, but she's like, I mean, it's not like you're twisting these people's arms. She's like, they're choosing to pay for that. And, she's like, at some point you have to stop feeling bad about everything. She's like, you're going to make yourself feel bad right into, to where you are, to being worried about, the whole reason I was keeping all this stuff in storage and everything wasn't for me. It was because my kid is like, you're going to throw all my stuff away. You're going to throw all my stuff from elementary school. And yes, I did. And I have, I've kept a couple things. And, yesterday the last couple of days have been rough. I have a hat of hers that she used to wear. And, and I've taken bags and bags and bags and bags and bags of my stuff. I keep going through my closet and keep going through it again, because I'm like, I'm not going to move to this next place with a bunch of crap. So there's a couple things, though, that I do want to showcase on my channel. Just when you guys see kind of what I've been dealing with here and how I've made it livable, I think you're going to be, it's going to be kind of crazy. Like, for example, so this, I obviously just put some of this, peel and stick wallpaper. I ordered those stuff that's on the top of the fridge right here. But I mean, if I showed you the floors, and wait till you see the bathroom, see how it's all filled in? That's all wood filler. I mean, that's how rough this place literally is. It's and I could have, because I still kind of do owe him some money, but I could have just said, and he's been calling me and I don't know why, but I just decided the other day, I was like, no, I'm going to get on. I said, I know I'm capable of making $500 a day. I did it when I first started, and I know I can do it again. And so the last couple of days, I haven't been sleeping well, which is rough, just because I don't know. I think it's the feng shui in my room or something, and just being a little bit stressed out, because right now I'm like, how much do I want to pay? Because that all depends on how hard I'm going to work. However, I did get a new job, and I got a W-2 job to kind of help me with the house buying process. And so, I was paying $13.95 here, which I was paying $3,000 a month when I was, living in Denver. And so this is a lot better, but this is kind of what you get. So I'm going to take you guys along. I don't know if it's going to be live, but I'm going to go look at a place later. This area is really interesting because the Air Force Academy is here, and this town, where I live right now, is kind of called, it's called the Old North End, and it was Millionaires Row, essentially. So it was these houses were all built by philanthropists and gold rushers and the people that made millions in Cripple Creek. Well, these houses obviously are really expensive, or they've been converted into apartments, and a lot of them don't accept dogs, or they have weird entrances and all this other stuff. So further down, there's closer to where downtown is, there's like little coves of little places, like little bungalows, and also they're much smaller, and they've been converted. They're old though; they're like turn of the century as well, but they're not this. Um, kind of like, I guess I would say like, it's like gargoyles and stuff. So it's like Italian. It's a lot of Italian and Spanish architecture over here, even like the columns and stuff. So, but it's like, oh, I don't have a garbage disposal here, and I don't have a washer and dryer. I don't have a dishwasher. You should see my bathroom. And I've just been like, oh, well, I guess this is what I deserve. I guess, this is what I get. And my ex, he used to say to me, he's like, you need to humble yourself. You need to humble yourself. This guy's telling me this. And I guess for some reason I believed it. So anyway, I'm over that now. I don't care about all this stuff. I don't care about any of that stuff now. I'm just sending it all to storage. I mean, to the Ark. And, and I'm going to be cleaning all that stuff up over the next, few months. And, while I do this final move, I'll finally have like a lease for a year again. And hopefully I'll be in like a cool area. I would like to be a little bit closer to downtown, just because I'm starting for the first time in 2 years to actually like want to be around people and not feel like, I'm too broken to be around anybody. And so that's a nice feeling. And, just to be able to like want to go and get a burger at a restaurant, instead of feeling like I have to hide. Because I've always been like, oh, somebody's going to ask me what I do for a living. And then what am I going to say? I mean, I'm a content creator. I mean, I don't have to explain anything to anybody. It's like if they're taking me on a date, that's one thing. But sitting in a bar or whatever, and I guess that's the whole thing is I've been stuck on, this image that I guess that my family has, conjured up of me, because they don't know, because nobody's ever seen me online or anything like that. And I believed it. And that's what we do sometimes. And that's what I want to talk about, over the next like month while I'm doing this move and stuff, is just, I think I touched on it before, is like a language that we have, that we're fed when we're kids. And a lot of times we believe that stuff, but we don't have to. We can create our own language. We can create, our own sense of security and self. And I think the most important thing is in all of this is, at the end of the day, I'm the same person. I didn't do anything drastic. Like, I've been offered Bitcoins to meet people in person. I've had umpteen guys want to do collabs with me and everything else. And I wasn't in a place to even do anything like that. Thank goodness. And so I just was like, why would I do that? This isn't something I necessarily want to do forever. I have to think about that. I've already put myself out there quite a bit with something very taboo. But am I ashamed of it? No, I'm not. And I never have been. And I'm not going to start acting like I am just because the world wants me to, or because, whatever. Again, it's all about how we talk to ourselves and how we see things. And I'm not going to subscribe to all that BS anymore. I'm not going to save things because my mom wants me to, or because my kid who doesn't talk to me wants me to keep all these boxes of crap. I'm not going to do that anymore. So while I'm figuring out, what's going on with my plantation land, you guys can reach out to me on thinkfactorywork. And tomorrow I'll do another check-in, because I think one of the things that I've really been bad at over the last year and a half as a content creator is being consistent and following through, because I couldn't even do that for myself because I was waiting for somebody to do it, for me, to support me. I'll be waiting for the rest of my life, you know? So no one's going to want to support me in any of my endeavors or my content or anything until I take full accountability and want to support myself. Duh. But sometimes we're just, and I will say this, living here, and the landlord of this place is a total hoarder. He has a really bad problem. And what I realized this morning, because I'm like, man, I got to get out of here. I got to get away from him. What I realized is people don't just wake up one day and start hoarding. It's not because their mother did or because somebody else. It's because of trauma that happened. Trauma happened, and the way that you try to resolve it in some way is you hold on to all this stuff because you think, I'm going to use it one day. Or my kid said I need to keep it. Or my mom kept saying, oh, I hope you get your stuff back. She wasn't like, what is there? What is there that you need? Because, how can we get you that stuff and then get rid of this storage unit so you can have that $300 in your pocket every month? Those are the things that I needed to hear. And everyone was just like, and I was expecting them to know. Nobody's going to know. But in this situation with this guy, I know that trauma happened, but he's, he has enough money and properties and stuff like that he doesn't want to hear anything like that. And I probably didn't either. And that's why I needed to go to therapy, right? Because it was important for me to figure it out on my own. If somebody told me, well, and I'm sure all my subscribers and fans and followers and stuff have been like, duh, it's like staring her in the face, just like I feel with my landlord. It's staring him in the face. I mean, what more could he need to know that he has there's a mental health issue here? But when we're in the midst of it, we don't see it. And that's a really huge part of life, is a lot of times, and we have to come to it on our own, right? We really do. Because if we don't, then again, we're doing something for somebody else until we have that aha moment and we say, and it happened to me the other night. I was laying in bed and I was just thinking about, having to deal with this place for another month, and it's not exactly where I want to be. And I felt like, well, this is my punishment and I needed to suffer and all of this stuff, and this is what I get. And then I was like, wait a second. Well, I went to therapy on Monday, and when I was there, I told her, I was having a hard time. I was bagging stuff up, but after I had bagged all of my daughter's elementary school stuff, or most of it, I slept for like 3 days because it was like emotionally so draining for me. And I thought to myself, why am I doing this to myself? Why have I done this to myself? Why haven't I grown my content? Why haven't I been accountable, and all this stuff? And then I said, well, I'm somebody who likes to use my resources, so I'm going to use my fans and subscribers and my channels and my streams to hold me accountable. And I'm going to start, one day at a time. And then the Patreon thing happened. So I just said, okay, well, starting yesterday, I said every day at 9, I'll get on and connect with my, subscribers. And just, if you guys, because I know some people had left me messages asking if I do custom videos and stuff like that. So I just wanted to be accountable to people who have supported me and myself more than anything, and be like, I've got this. I can do this, and and doing it, tired or stressed or whatever. It's still better knowing that I check that off, and that I can count on myself, right? Because I realized there is no one else to count on. And if I count on my dog, she's getting older, and she's gonna, she's gonna have to go at some point too. So the bottom line is, and then I have to, it's when I'm ready, I'm sure I'll get a new puppy, because that's just the kind of person that I am. And so it's like, but then I have to build a relationship with them. And like every new person that comes into my life, I have to build a new relationship with, because the past is gone. And what I was doing with all my crap was holding on to the past, that until the people in my life want to resolve things, there is no resolve. And if they don't want to, I can't be mad about it and be upset and hold on to every single item that they ever touched in their hands and carry it with me everywhere, because all that's doing is drowning me in nothingness. Really, it's drowning me in inhibiting me from being able to move forward. And I've done it to myself. And I think a lot of it, again, like when you're an empath, people know how personal things are to you. And so they just have to, put little tiny seeds out there. I think half the time they don't even know what they're doing. They're just trying to protect themselves, right? But, for somebody like me who, I've always had a hard time with my family in general, and just feeling like loved. And my family is just not a very, very loving family, like with people in general. I mean, they're just very judgmental and stuff like that. And I always took it personal. And I mean, at this point, it's like, it's not personal. It's their character. And those aren't people that they're not acceptable to have in my life anymore, period. And I don't know if they ever will be. But I'm not going to call them and beg. And, that again, that has to come to that, they have to say, well, I miss that person enough that I want to work things out. And most likely they're not going to. My mom's 83, and my kid, until she has a situation where she needs something because she doesn't have anybody else, she's, and she's very good at doing exactly what's in front of her every day. As long as she can handle that and manipulate the one person in her life, she's boon coon. She's Gucci. And that's on her. Again, I can't, I'm not going to take the responsibility of anybody else's crap anymore. I'm going to be accountable for myself and understand and know that, I did a lot of crazy things that I never thought I was capable of. Making 6 figures, getting a master's degree and all this other stuff, buying a house. I never thought I was going to do that. My family was just wanted me to be a drug addict my whole life. And I bought into that for a long time. And then I said, no, I'm not doing that. So again, the light bulb went off, and, and I think it's going to be cool to just be transparent on my channel, because I think, I've been putting out a lot of stuff, but it hasn't, it's not getting any views, because it's kind of like I'm hiding. And I'm acknowledging that, right? It's like, well, this would be cool and that would be cool, but I'm not really talking about, what the crux is, and how I'm going to, get better and move on, because I've kind of been in this like purgatory, and taking, my subscribers along with me, because that's what we do. So anyway, I have this new job. I'm going to be doing data collecting. I have to fill out a bunch of the stuff today. I also, am going to be, now depending on where I get approved to move in, my rent is going to be substantially more. So, I mean, it's going to be really helpful to have this, because it's like $30 an hour, which isn't bad for something, like this. No benefits or anything, but again, you know, that alone basically pays, my bills, and then all my content and everything else, gets added onto that, and that's great. That's exactly what I needed, and I got that gift. I asked for it, and I got it. I actually had 2 jobs, and I was thinking about trying to do them both, and then just nixing my camming stuff, but one of them only was like $15 an hour. So I decided not to take that one, because I could only get like 25 hours a week or something. And I was like, that's not, I can make 40 or 45 or 50 online and then have my other job. So, and I think I need that stability, right? I need and it's like, you get like your information, and you go to people's houses and you ask them questions, and you give them a laptop and they answer questions. So the first set of data that I'm going to be collecting is smoking data. And he says it's called Westat is the company. He says it's not the people, it's the address. So I guess, I don't know how they do it, but they get addresses, and he said it could be in an apartment community, it could be wherever. You just go to the address, and they're supposed to get a packet, and you say, but they didn't fill it out, and so you say, well, would you mind filling it out on the computer today? And you give them that autonomy so that they can answer the questions without you sitting there or you typing in the questions, so that they're more honest. That's the idea, right? And I think I would be really good at that, right? It's not necessarily sales, but I mean, I think when I go up to the door, most people are going to be like, who are you? And I'm in a place where, even people of color are probably going, it's a military town or an Air Force town. So people are used to people like me. In Denver, I would walk up to, a brown person's house, and everybody would run out the back, because they would think that I was the probation officer or somebody's teacher, or, somebody from the school coming to talk to the parents or something like that. Literally, people would be running out the back of the house, and I'm like, I'm just, with so-and-so. And I don't think I'm going to get that response here, which is good. So anyway, that's it. If you guys want to ask me any questions or leave any comments, I opened this up today to all my subscribers, so it'll be up. Yesterday it was unlisted. So if you guys missed this, at this time, I'll be back on tomorrow at 9 Mountain Time. And hopefully you'll be seeing some, videos and stuff that I'm going to be putting up of what's happening. And you guys will see all this stuff that I'm going to be ripping off and stuff like that when I leave here. So hopefully I'll have some good news tomorrow or something. It's all good news from here, because, I'm shedding that skin that I was holding on to, because I thought it served me. And it's, I was crying the other day in therapy saying, in some ways, getting rid of that skin and leaving it behind, right, is kind of hard for me, because it's like, holding on to it wasn't serving me, but it was familiar. It was something I had been holding on to for a while. And so letting it go was it was like, it was really difficult for some reason. And again, if I wouldn't have come to it on my own, you know, I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys today. I'm trying to be accountable and transparent. So take it for what it's worth. Thank you for your support and subscribing to me. If you have any questions, let me know. Again, you can find me at thinkfactorywork IG. Otherwise, just go to my website and, you guys. So thank you so much. I'm 5 minutes over, and I'll see you guys next time tomorrow at the same time. Okay, see you later.